more coming in the future. We got Adam Lefkoe, Bleacher Report coming on the podcast in a couple of weeks. That'll be big. I was talking to him in Atlanta. Thanks for the beat. Shout out to Rod Simba creating that amazing intro beat. Thank you, Rod. Rod Simba and the Regulators are really doing a big job out there. Go shout out Rod. Moving on, we had the Combine last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Big winners. We have Quinnen Williams, DK Metcalf, and
Montez Sweat.
Montez Sweat with that impressive 40 time.
One second, let me pull up the results. I'm going to get the database.
Bear with us for a second. So, do you think that these impressive Combine numbers will translate to the NFL? Because as I said earlier, these hyper-athletic players show a little bit less work ethic, and obviously refuted by Sekou Smith that they do work hard. I just think that players that aren't having that born gifted skill set have to work and overcome and work through this adversity and become great players.
To give an NBA analogy, like Hakeem Olajuwon.
And Steph Curry, look at that.
Yeah.
He was doubted, didn't even get a D1 scholarship by his dad's former college in Virginia Tech. They said he was too small, he wasn't good enough. Had to go to Davidson, proved himself there, still wasn't good enough to be taken as the first point guard.
These hyper-athletic guys, or these non-hyper-athletic guys, build fundamentals like Hakeem. And these fundamentals help them in the long run. And it's what a lot of these hyper-athletic guys don't have. They don't have the fundamentals. While I do think DK Metcalf has the potential to easily become a Pro Bowl wide receiver in his first 5 years in the NFL, your athleticism is only going to take you so far, especially at the next level.
I mean, he's a physical specimen with 1.6 body fat, which is extremely impressive.
About that, is that even possible?
I guess so.
That makes no sense.
I think that what we're looking at here is one of the most impressive performers. I think this is distracting you from his weaknesses, which is his route running, which as a Ole Miss fan, not a fan, I follow Ole Miss, families from Mississippi. I watch a lot of Ole Miss games. He isn't the greatest route runner. He doesn't catch the ball phenomenally. He's going to blow past you, and he's going to be taller than you, but he's not the greatest wide receiver in this draft class. I think he best fits in that 15 to 25 range, which he was projected to be before this Combine, now top 10 because of this hype around him. Another great performer, Tyree Jackson out of Buffalo. Quarterback runs a 4.59, 40-yard dash, and just blew it up in the Combine, throwing dots, had that impressive vertical. What is this vertical again? Let me look that up.
I got it.
While I'm on that.
Tyree Jackson, 34.5, leading all quarterbacks at the Combine.
He had the second fastest 40. Bench press, he was not getting results for that.
Yeah,
but he had 27 reps, I think, which was the most of any quarterback.
Highest broad jump.
Highest broad jump.
I don't know how much that's going to help. I don't know how much a broad jump is going to help you as a quarterback.
I think the problem with these mobile quarterbacks in this NFL is that they need to learn to stay in the pocket. Because look at Russ Wilson. He came into the league, run first. It was only when he decided to pass first was when he became a great player and this Hall of Fame, in my opinion, quarterback. Because what Russ Wilson has done with the Seahawks has been extremely impressive as a passer that can run. Yeah. That's what I think Kyler Murray needs to do. Because he is the best passer and best thrower in this draft, but he needs to stick to his passing game. Look at Drew Brees. He has a similar height and not similar shortness, but similar frame. I think my comparison for what I think Kyler Murray is he is a Baker Mayfield with Lamar Jackson's or Michael Vick's legs.
Oh, wow.
I think he is an incredible player, and I know that says he's 5'10" and an eighth of an inch, but I saw him stand next to Dan Patrick, who was 6'3", and they looked about the same height. I think I was trying to pull it up here for you. When I was at the Dan Patrick show, they have the same height, pretty much a couple inches shorter, and his arm, man, is a cannon. I mean, I saw that thing go past my head. I was like, okay, he's an NFL quarterback. I know this is a TV taping, but you don't have to kill a man like that. I think he has 4.38 speed, which is claimed to be his 40 because he didn't run at the Combine. And I think that's a great decision not to run, because if you are good at something, The only thing that can happen is they'd be like, oh, you weren't as fast as I thought. Oh, you weren't as strong as I thought. So that's why Quinn Williams didn't do the bench press, because he was like, you know what? If I do the bench press, they're going to be like, oh, you didn't do as well as DK Metcalf, who has 27.
Yeah.
I think this is my comparison to Kyler. Kyler's 5'10", 4.3 speed, and the arm strength to be successful in the league. Arm strength isn't coachable, and has translated really well to the league.
Are you thinking about Michael Vick?
I am not thinking of Michael Vick.
Oh. Because I feel like Vick's dual threat ability plus his strong arm, that's what comes to mind.
I mean, it's an easy comparison to just cop out and say, he's a fast quarterback that's kind of short. Oh, Michael Vick.
But Michael Vick was more than that.
Michael Vick changed the game. He was a complete...
Dynamic.
He invented the mobile quarterback. They didn't know how to game plan for him. He's kind of how Lamar is now game plan. People don't know how to game plan for him. The frame and arm remind me of a Baker Mayfield. He has if you look at teams, look at UCLA, you look at other teams, Wisconsin, Wyoming, what am I thinking of? The players of the top quarterbacks last year. Without their star quarterback, they fell off. With Oklahoma, they got better with Kyler Murray. And if you look at this game with Alabama, which is the most pro-ready team of any D1 school, he looked shook, but he grew into the game, and at the end, he looked unstoppable. Alabama had no answers for him of how to stop a player this dynamic. And I think this could be how great he could be in the NFL. I think decision-making could be questionable because he can run better than Lamar. I'm going to say he can run better than Lamar Jackson. Turnovers aren't a huge problem. The things that aren't coachable, he has all the intangibles to be great. He has a low floor, but he's the highest ceiling of any player in the draft.
Kyler.
I think what the Arizona Cardinals are doing, are they hyping up his value so they can get someone to take the number one pick, because there's no one that can pick ahead of him. So they're just going to be like, we're taking Kyler. You want him, go through us. And I think that's creating a market for that number one pick or for Josh Rosen, which is creating this hype around Arizona, which they would have gotten without Cliff Kingsbury. And if you think that he is who could be your player that can translate your game plan, you have to do it. If he's the player that's going to save your franchise, you have to draft him. And I think that he has a very specific place. He has a requirement that he has to meet. The team has to be able to build around him, have a solid line, because Oklahoma has the best offensive line in football and college football. And I think he has to have a certain set of areas where he has to go to. So if he goes to a place like Arizona, I don't think he reaches his full potential. But if he goes to a place like New York, after the requirement of Kevin Zeitler, we'll get to that later. I think if he goes to a place like New England, I wrote this before Arizona was saying he's going to go number one. He was a mid-first round pick. I think New England was going to be a phenomenal place for him, or Rosen, or Odell. Odell's rumored to be going there. New Orleans would be a great fit as well. I think he could be a breakout. Next year, expect to see a combination of Baker and Lamar, who were arguably the two best quarterbacks last year in the draft in terms of their performances. And I think what Kyler has shown is that he is the greatest quarterback. He comes in a league where we look at these players that are baseball ready, like Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, who blew it up with their arm strength. I think he's
plus their ability to run.
I think he's in a market where his services are extremely desirable for the NFL. I don't know if there's a defense that can stop this specific skill set. The only thing holding back Lamar from being great is Lamar. I think if he can hold back his desire to make a big play, like if you look at Jared Goff in the Super Bowl, he was looking for, how do I make a big play here? I don't see anything that's going to give me a touchdown, so here we go, chuck it deep. Versus Tom Brady, so like, okay, 5 yards, touchdown. We win the Super Bowl. I think if he learns to have patience and learns to do death by 1,000 strikes, he could be the greatest quarterback in the last 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I was debating whether to say it, but
Okay,
I think I have a good eye for quarterbacks. 2 years ago, I saw Deshaun Watson, drafted in fantasy, thought I was set till he got injured. Last season, I don't want to brag here, but my friend Patrick Mahomes said in August he had the Midas touch and was going to be better than Deshaun Watson was.
Wow.
I said he could be great. I didn't know he'd be this great. And a little insight on Patrick Mahomes. Got a little Patrick Mahomes football right here from the Super Bowl.
That's a flex, massive.
Flex. Got me a little Patrick Mahomes football. And so, he told me about his record throw. He threw for 83 yards.
Bruh.
83.
Bruh.
I mean, that is an incredible feat to throw 83 yards. And if he goes to Denver for in divisional game, he's gonna have once a year. Get some good wind. Who knows? He could throw 100 in warm-ups one day. He's gonna throw end zone. But enough on Patrick.
All right, let's go into the defense, where I want to talk about the defensive line and the amount of depth there is and the amount of talent there is at the in this draft class. There's one guy in particular I want to talk about. You already know who it is, Quinnen Williams. What do you think his ceiling is? Do you think it's Aaron Donald? Do you think he can go past Aaron Donald?
I mean, the speed and the skill set Quinn Williams has, and I hate giving hype player comparisons, as I said earlier. I think it's unfair to give players such high expectations, but he has the closest skill set to Aaron Donald of any player since Aaron Donald. He's not going to be Aaron Donald, but he has the best chance of being someone like Aaron Donald. Like Kyler Murray, he has the best chance of being better than Michael Vick because he has a better arm and better legs. As Cliff Kingsbury said about Kyler, he has the best runner in the draft, and he wasn't referring to quarterbacks. I think that what Quinnen has is his ability to use his moves and his foot stance to create leverage on double teams and single teams, and the knowledge of Bama's defense to be a role player and absorb the double teams and create this great hole for the rest of the team to go and converge on the running back or the quarterback to create this big play and stop the offense, which create Alabama's great number one defense, I believe. I think what Aaron Donald does is he's too quick. My knock on Aaron Donald is that he has too big play centric like Jared Goff and that whole Rams team. They're big play centric. So he blitzes, goes in for the quarterback. He's already hit the quarterback, but the running back has the ball. He leaves the A gap wide open, and that's what the Patriots during the Super Bowl. They left them one-on-one on run plays, doubled Sue, left that A gap open, and there's Sony Michel, 100-yard rusher, and that's the reason why they won the game.
It's easy for them. It's either a 8-yard loss or an 8-yard gain for the offense. It's very hit or miss. Right now I'm looking at the Pro Football Focus mock draft and some of the grades. They gave Quinnen Williams a 96.
I think that could be a little higher. But think about someone that's fast like Aaron Donald. Montez Sweat ran a 4.41.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think we're getting too much into the details. Oh, someone's fast, someone's good. I mean, look at someone like Mike Mamula. Oh, who's that? Someone with the greatest combine of all time in 1995. Went to the Eagles. It was a third-round pick. Great combine. He trained specifically for the combine events, and he got top 10 pick. And then, you know what he did? He wasn't that good. His combine inflated his grade. And if you look at someone that had a bad combine, they're probably more NFL ready. They're more hungry. They're more proven. I think you have to look at intelligence, how they do in the interviews, how a team sees a player versus how much a player really's athletic ability set him apart. That's why I think my favorite player in this entire draft, Hakeem Butler. Oh my goodness, this kid is insane. He is 6'6". He has a 4.49 speed, and he has hands that I've never seen before. I watched Week 2 Oklahoma, Iowa State. I'm like, who's this tall kid blowing past everyone and going for big plays? You know what? I've been watching Iowa State games the rest of the year. Iowa State. And I watched them in the game against Washington State in the whatever bowl it was.
Yeah.
And that 160 yards, touchdown, one-handed catches all over the field. I was just taken aback about how NFL ready he is.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's my more big, lofty goals for him. If anyone can be like big and fast and catch balls like DeAndre, he is a faster and taller DeAndre. less good hands, less of a route runner, but he is a physical specimen.
But he has the potential to develop his hands and definitely his route running, especially in the right system.
So I think my wide receiver rankings would have Hakeem 1, maybe someone like AJ Brown and DK Metcalf, similar potentials.
What about N'Keal Harry?
N'Keal Harry had a disappointing combine. That's why I like him a lot. I think he's an impressive player, 27 bench as well as Metcalf, not talked about because he's N'Keal Harry, Arizona State. I think he's an amazing prospect. I'd rank him right behind A.J. Brown. And then I'll put someone like Paris Campbell, who I think could fall to the Saints, love Ohio State receivers. He's fast, replacement of Ted Ginn. Paris Campbell is a Ted Ginn-esque player.
I want Paris Campbell to, I don't like the Ravens, but I want him to go to Baltimore.
that would be a phenomenal combination.
It'd be a track meet.
Obviously, I don't think that they should sign Le'Veon because I don't know. I'm worried about his fitness and rumors about him bulking up to 260.
Ooh.
I'm just gonna say that's heavier than Eddie Lacy is.
Ooh.
He denied that, and I think if he comes back to his same self, a backfield of Gus Edwards, Le'Veon, Kenneth Dixon, they still have Ty Montgomery, Lamar Jackson, Paris Campbell, John Brown, Willie Snead, Michael Crabtree. They still have a great offensive line with Yonda and Ronnie Stanley, who's one of the best tackles in the league, who had a lackluster injury campaign. But yeah, he had a great year this year. I think that this team is ready to take charge. This division, the AFC North, has been way up for grabs now. The Browns coming in. Let's get into that. Browns trade for Olivier Vernon in exchange for Kevin Zeitler and a 3rd-round pick. Browns also get a 5th-round pick. Who wins this trade, Ishan?
To be honest with you, I think that the Giants actually won this trade.
I mean, I think they won. They win. Olivier Vernon, great player, not worth $19 million a year. They're saving $7 million cap space on this. They acquire a 3rd-round pick, which this draft is supposed to be middle heavy. It's supposed to be a really deep draft class, and I think this 3rd-round pick could be extremely useful for them. And this solidifies them as having a decent offensive line. They acquire a top 5 guard in Zeitler,
which is only going to help Saquon.
Only going to help Willie Hernandez. Only going to help Nate Solder because it takes off the pressure for the rest of them. Yeah. And it allows Eli Manning. I think he's a little bit past his prime. Not a little bit. He's past his prime. I think
definitely.
If you look what he did last season, I watched the game. I was just in my head counting 1 up. There's pressure on him already. And I think a criticism of him is he couldn't pass more than 10 yards. I don't think he had the time to pass more than 10 yards. I think if I'm the Giants, this is what I'm doing this season. Top 10 pick, DK Metcalf. Create all the hype in the world. All the hype. 2nd round or 3rd round pick, Josh Rosen. He's mine now. Eli and Josh are similar players. Similar arms, similar mobility. More mobility for Rosen, obviously. I think they trade for Rosen. Eli, he's not going to be a great mentor, but he's still a great player. Hall of Fame, 2-time Super Bowl winner. Manning family pedigree. He's going to be able to teach Rosen how to be a great quarterback. No pressure on him as a backup.
So you don't think
he
Haskins should go to the Giants?
I think Haskins is a great passer. I think he's going to be a pocket passer. I think he'll be phenomenal
almost
at that.
exclusively.
I think he is Cam without legs.
Yeah.
I think he has Cam Newton's arm, not more accurate than Cam, similar
Definitely.
strength. I don't think Cam's the greatest passer. I think he gets by his legs. I think his ceiling is a 4,000-yard pass. I don't think he's going to be a phenomenal player. I think Rosen could be a little bit better in the future. I think has to go to the right situation. I think New Orleans is that right situation. Ohio State, obviously. He can learn behind Brees, a pocket passer. He has a stronger arm right now. And obviously Sean Payne can throw some trick play in there. Him and Taysom Hill run out there. Who's going to throw the ball?
Taysom Hill.
Oh, I love Taysom Hill. Swiss Army man. The Packers really regret missing out on him.
Yeah. And I think, especially with their poor offensive line, I don't see... I guess if their offensive line doesn't live up to expectations, Haskins is not going to have that good of a rookie season. I think his lack of mobility almost is definitely going to hinder his hinder his stats, hinder his big plays, because now you're getting pressure from all these guys, and you're just forced to throw in the pop, and you're just forced to throw in very tricky situations. And for a young quarterback like that, I don't know how beneficial that is to their development.
I mean, how do you feel about someone like how Olivia Burner was dealing with the Browns? Because we haven't talked about that side of the trade. How much is this gonna help Miles Garrett?
Oh,
Woo-wee.
yes.
They have
yes.
Anunoby coming up the middle, or not? What's his name? Anobi, something like that. He's a good defensive end.
Yeah, he is. I know what you're talking about. He's a second, third-year player, very young.
He's great. They just caught Jimmy Collins to get some more cap space. Joe Schobert is a good lineman player. But a defensive end pairing of Olivier Vernon.
Oh, it's going to be nice.
And Myles Garrett, who could have been Defensive Player of the Year, was a nominee for it.
Mm-hmm.
He could have 20 sacks next year. Because the Vernon comes off the edge. Oh, what are you going to do? Oh, now you have Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
I think this does hurt the offensive line. I think they really had a okay offensive line this year. And I think you want to protect your golden goose, Baker Mayfield, because if he gets injured, that's your franchise. You're gone. Look what happened to the Niners. Jimmy G tries to make a special play, tears his ACL. He's out for the season. The Niners season is lost. They did develop George Kittle into one of the greatest tight ends in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
But not much can come from hurting your offensive line. Offensive line is the most important thing. Look at the best teams in football. The New Orleans Saints, great offensive line. Colts, great offensive line. They built offensive line in one draft.
Yeah.
New England, great offensive line.
Excellent.
Eagles, great offensive line. Cowboys, good offensive line. Rams, good offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
All the playoff teams. Baltimore, good offensive line. The only team without a good offensive line in the playoffs was Houston, and that's why they lost in the first round.
And look at my team, the Falcons. Look at how much better they would be if they had a solid offensive line to protect Matt Ryan, or to boost their run game.
I mean, they have a good offensive line, which is injury history with Alex Mack and the rest of the offensive line. I think they have a good talent there.
Levitri.
Levitri
I think, but I think the Falcons' offensive struggles this year show how important an offensive line is.
I think the offensive team was good altogether. They had a great offensive season. I think it was the defense that let them down because of the loss of some great players. What's up with Tack McKinley?
But
is he leaving? He posted something on Instagram like, "Thanks for the ride, guys," or on Twitter. I think he might be gone. He might. Twitter, you don't know. Anyone's posting something.
David Irving.
David Irving. That's an interesting topic right there.
I think.
Let's get into the big trade of today. Antonio Brown. Do you think the Raiders is the best fit for him?
I'm a little skeptical about it, to be honest.
Gruden loves his veterans. I think he's a good fit for what Gruden wants.
I
don't think that he wanted to go to the Raiders. I don't think he'll be anything at the Raiders. I think he'll just be a good player in a bad team.
Yeah. I think great fit for Gruden. And I think as Oakland makes a transition into Las Vegas, they're going to need someone like Brown to sell some tickets. But, like, Derek Carr as your quarterback.
What happens to Carr? They can get rid of him?
Yeah. Carr is his situation and his stance with the team, it's like, is it there? Is it not there? Like,
a bit of a shaky relationship because he loves the city and he loves the fans.
Yeah.
He's not going to be in that city for much longer.
Nope.
And who knows what's going to happen to them. Carr hasn't been great since he had the massive injury in 2017.
Yeah.
You remember that team? They were poised to be the next dynasty. And look at their defense. Let's name 5 players.
Carl Joseph.
Mike Conley.
Gary
Conley. There you go. Mike Conley's basketball.
He needs to make an all-star team. He really does.
He's never made one.
Sad.
Bruce Irvin. He's going to
No, Bruce Irvin played for the Falcons last season.
They traded him.
Yeah. I think we signed him.
Oh, they cut him, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
See, look, Raiders defense is non-existent.
Yeah.
I know almost every player in the NFL, and I can't tell you the Raiders defense. I love Maurice Hurst, though. I will give credit for that. That was a great draft pick. He had the heart problems. I wanted the Saints to draft him, but obviously we couldn't draft him because Nick Fairley we had to cut because of heart problems. It would be unfair to sign a different D tackle with heart problems.
Yeah.
First round talent fell to the 4th. He had a great rookie season, and I think he could develop that into a stellar performance this season.
Mm-hmm.
But their defensive struggles need to be solved. They traded Khalil Mack. I think they need to invest in their defense. I think with
They do
their
have
fourth pick, I think they should use it on someone like Quentin Williams, Josh Allen,
I think
Sean Gary. I don't like Gary as much as I like other players, but Gary is a phenomenal player. I do think that someone could take a risk. Well, I think Gruden will take a risk and sign. Will try to trade up for Kyler Murray. I think that's what Kingsbury is doing. He's trying to create hype for that pick. But if they don't trade up for him, I think that he's going to go to Arizona, and Arizona's going to love having a player of that quality.
Definitely.
This is a deep class of defensive linemen, and I think they could get two great defensive linemen in this draft. But Gruden's ability to draft has been lackluster, let's just say, for the most part, for his career.
Colton Miller.
Was he in Oakland for Jamarcus Russell? I think he was. He might have been just traded. He might have just been traded.
Yeah, but you know who Colton Miller is, right?
Yes, Cole Miller wasn't a bad player. I think he's a decent offensive lineman. He had a bit of a bad situation as well. I think like Willie Hernandez from Giants had a bad situation last year. But someone like Dexter Lawrence from Clemson is an incredible athlete. 36 on the best bench press. Like, that is a physical freak. Ed Oliver. I love Ed Oliver.
I wanted to go to the Falcons so badly, but...
People forget, this guy was the #1 defensive tackle for 2 years until last season.
Projected #1 pick.
Projected
top 5 player out of high school. And he's had such a great career. Then the injury problems, there were some issues with his coach, and he's now fallen.
Maybe out of the top 10.
Yeah, well, PFF
it's a durability concern. And,
yeah.
Quentin Williams is a deep defensive line class and made it less appealing. The thing is, he will be a likely all-pro player. I think he will follow the draft like Derwin James. If you look at him last year, defensive rookie of the year candidate, fell back in the draft because of some concerns and some depth issues around the class.
Yeah.
Fell. No one else needed defensive. No one really needs a safety position. It's not really a flash position of the season. If we look at the offseason, we have such great players like Adrian Amos, Landon Collins, Tyrann Mathieu, Earl Thomas, all being let go to free agency. It's not a really valuable position anymore. We're looking for cornerbacks to lock down. It's the free safety position which is more valuable. That's why I think Ed Oliver might fall because how deep this class is. But he's a 3 technique, which fits in a 4-3 system. He's phenomenal. I could see him going anywhere between #1 and #10. I think he's going to go around 6 or 7. If he falls out of the top 10,
a lot of
someone should trade up for him.
In the teens.
I mean, he is great. He is a great athlete. His play speed is ridiculous. His toughness, his play strength, his upfield
a little
burst.
undersized, but he does make up for it.
I mean, his problems are he's not the greatest use of his hands. He needs to be coached a little bit more to be a phenomenal player. But I think he could be the next big thing. Him, Quentin Williams are my 2 favorite players on the defensive side. Christian Wilkins, I'm not sure about him. I think he could be a great player. I don't know about his talent. Nick Bosa
He was a good pass rusher.
He was a good passer. Nick Bosa is being forgotten a lot. He could be better than Joey. Joey's had a lackluster team with the injuries. Came back, had that dominant game against Baltimore, fell off against New England. I think he could be great. Josh Allen could be great.
I do like Josh Allen.
Josh Allen does have a phenomenal...
His ability to rush the passer is almost unparalleled in this class.
I just think people are hung up on athletic ability, and players do fall through the cracks.
But Josh Allen didn't have a bad combine at all.
Josh Allen did not have a bad combine.
No, he had a very, very solid combine. Let's take a look at the edge.
12th in vertical. His 40 was okay. It was
4.63.
His bench press was. I know it was not as expected. It was, but he is an edge, and he did have 28 reps. Which
he had 28, second among.
But to put into perspective, that's 1 more than by 2 wide receivers. So.
All right then.
I think it's funny just looking at players and being like, oh, you have less reps than DK Metcalf and N'Keal Harry.
And then what about Montez Sweat?
Montez Sweat
and his 4.41.
Another Mississippi guy. I like watching Mississippi players. I think he could be a great player in the NFL. I think his what he's done for Mississippi State has been impressive to say the least. And I think someone from Mississippi State who gets fallen through the cracks is Nick Fitzgerald because he is a great quarterback. But people don't talk about him because of Mississippi State guys. I think he could be better than Dak Prescott.
Oh wow!
I think he should go above the 4th round. I think Dak, obviously, he's a better passer than Dak. Dak's a better runner. But what Fitzgerald's done in Mississippi State's been impressive. Not a 4.64 in the combine. Very impressive for a quarterback. I think that's faster than every quarterback besides Lamar. Lamar didn't run, but faster than every quarterback at the combine last year. But that
Jeffrey Simmons.
Jeffrey Simmons,
the defensive tackle. NFL.com has this thing where they rate all the draft prospects and they give them a grade, and the grade basically says how likely they are to be a Pro Bowl caliber player. So Allen and Quinnen lead the pack, but Jeffrey Simmons is up next. He's a little intriguing, and we've kind of forgot about him as his teammate Montez Sweat passed him in hype, especially during the combine. But he's 6'4", 301 pounds, and he's a solid defensive tackle.
I do think Simmons is a phenomenal player, and I think another one of those guys that does fall through the cracks is one of those guys that fall through the cracks because he's not obviously the biggest performer, but Clemson. Do you know who I'm thinking of who falls through the cracks? Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah,
he is a beast.
At one point, he was projected to be a top 5 pick at the beginning of the season. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like Ed Oliver, Dexter Lawrence highlighting this great class.
Quinnen Williams as well.
Yeah.
Josh Allen flew through with this members of this Kentucky team. He had an incredible season this year. What do you have, 20 sacks?
But Simmons did have an off-season injury. But I think he's a good run stopper. So, actually, right now they have him slotted to be selected by the Cleveland Browns. So, in the interior you have Simmons, and then you have Garrett and Vernon on either side on the ends. That could be a solid, a really solid.
And look at Albert Hughes. Albert Hughes has had a phenomenal season for Clemson as well. All these guys that fall through the cracks because they're the second option on the team. Don't get the attention they deserve.
What about Jonah Williams?
Jonah Williams is pretty impressive. Another quarterback I like in this draft class is Drew Lock. He had an impressive year.
He had a pretty good combine too.
He did a nice combine. His arm strength is shown. I think he could be a player that could be used as a backup for a season or two, then come into the starting fold and become a brilliant player. I know a lot of my New Orleans Saints fans love him and love Drew Lock to replace Drew. I think the Saints need to draft someone soon, not because Breeze is going to retire anytime soon, because Breeze needs to teach someone soon. Because Breeze with his ability, Taysom Hill's not a starting quarterback in this league.
No.
I love Taysom. Taysom could be an interesting starting quarterback in this league.
I don't see it.
He could be better than. I think he could be better than Tim Tebow as a starting quarterback, who did have that good 8-game stretch, but then people figured out how to game plan him. But I think he could be an interesting asset because if you look at that game, he's become a stronger thrower than Drew Brees, and he had a nice throw to Kamara that was taken away by Anders Pete Holding in the NFC divisional round.
So let's look at the three cornerbacks that
Cornerbacks do get fallen through the cracks
that have highlighted this class. We got DeAndre Baker, Byron Murphy, and Greedy Williams.
I mean, I love all of these guys, and I think, obviously, if you look at the people who win this, I forget what the award is, but the best quarterback in college football. Obviously, DeAndre Baker really did light up the class this season.
He's extremely well-rounded. He can do everything. Good in man coverage.
You know what LSU does better than any other college in football?
Speed.
Makes great corners. I mean, look at what they've done. Jamal Lewis, Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson. Who's the guy from last year? The really fast guy that went to Carolina.
Let's Google this.
But while I'm talking about what I love about Greedy is he is a hyper athletic player.
He's big. He's fast.
He's
he can play
very
man.
fast. He's a modern type of cornerback.
Yeah,
He's
you need
long
you
on
need a
the ball.
cornerback to play man. You need a cornerback to be good at man coverage. That's what he offers.
He's arguably the best cornerback in this draft. Top 10 prospect, obviously.
Definitely.
I like him. He's a good man coverage, but he plays a little bit too much zone. Athletic ability great, play speed great, ball skills great, play strength iffy, zone coverage okay, open field tackling okay. You know who really hasn't been talked about a lot?
Byron Murphy.
Byron Murphy, but free Devin White, the guy who got suspended before the Alabama game for the first half. Devin White.
What happened?
Targeting.
Wow. That's an oof.
Apparently, there's a conspiracy going around, or that went around, that every top player before they played Alabama got a targeting call on them. But what he's done, fastest run, fast,
He's
4.42, fastest guy in the draft. Incredible, top performer in the 20-yard shuttle and the 40-yard dash.
Definitely.
His bench press was okay. It was
yeah, it was alright.
22, 5 less than his teammate, or not teammate, SEC guy DK Metcalf. Just looking at DK Metcalf's stats, incredible.
Dude, just
compare everyone to
crazy,
DK Metcalf. He would have been third of all linebackers on the bench press.
what can he play?
Vertical jump, I do believe he had a high vertical.
Devin?
39.5.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Devin Bush I think he's better than Rashawn Gary. I'm just going to say, Devin Bush is better than Rashawn Gary.
Wow.
Gary, I have some concerns. He's going to be a good player, not a great player. I think in the long term, Devin Bush is phenomenal. 40.5 vertical. His 40-yard dash was equally impressive.
Yeah,
he was number 2, 4.43.
Very.
I think Devin White and Devin Bush, the two Devins, are the two best linebackers.
Definitely.
They're the most athletic guys.
Definitely.
I just want to point out here, the best thing on this website is that it has a little asterisk that says smaller numbers is better. That's
website?
On the NFL Combine. Smaller numbers is better.
That's funny.
But back to the Combine. How much of the Combine results really do you think compares to the NFL game?
I think it depends on the position, number one. Like, how relevant is a long, broad jump to a quarterback compared to, like, a corner or safety? I think there are a few factors that play into it, but at the same time, the Combine should not be your only source for how good a player is. You need to look at their college. You need to look at how injury prone they are.
Tape is where you find what a player is.
You know what? Yeah. Yes, you might have 4.3 speed, but
can you make a play?
Yeah, can you make a play with that 4.3 speed down the field? What's your yards after catch? You might have 4.3 speed, but
can you catch the ball even? Can you run routes? Can you get separation?
Yeah.
Can you use your speed to get away from a receiver?
DK Metcalf had 540 yards this season.
He did have the back.
He had the crazy injury, but still.
And we don't know he's going to recover from that. We know his athletic ability is certainly back from that injury, but he had a neck injury, and that could be severe going back and even aggravate that. And
definitely.
I think if you know you're not athletic, what do you have to gain from the Combine? The Combine is a show of all the athletic players in the draft.
Yeah.
If you are Dwayne Haskins, why would you run the 40 and show that you're a 5'4"? Why would you do that? Why would you show that you're not fast? If you know you're good or bad at something, don't do the Combine.
Don't take the risk.
Because you can only hurt your draft stock. You can only be said, oh, you're not as fast as I thought, or you're even slower than I thought. You can only hurt your draft stock doing the Combine. But the Combine does give the fans some insight into how the scouting process works. I think it gives us a good insight on how players are evaluated. I think overhyped players and players who perform well in the Combine don't perform well in the NFL. There are some exceptions, obviously. The hyper-athletic players, hyper-athletic, do perform well, but you're not going to be a great value in the draft if you had a great Combine. And
there's more to a player than his Combine results.
I think what's a staple is it Don Shula's Wonderlic test? Is it Don Shula that made the Wonderlic? I believe it is. I took the Wonderlic test for myself the other day. Wonderlic. It's the standardized test all NFL players, all Combine players take. Obviously, the highest performers being we have Ryan Fitzpatrick at a 48. That is
He went to Harvard.
he did go to Harvard. There's some other Harvard guy got a perfect 50. But I took it the other day, got a 43. I want to say I'm rather proud of my 43, which ranks top 10 all time.
What does it test?
It's 50 questions in 12 minutes. It's basically how fast can you process. It's math, it's grammar, it's how fast can you process.
Is it like easy stuff or is it?
It's easy and hard, it's multiple choice.
Because I feel like it's more for your processing.
It's processing
and
it's
quick
more,
thinking ability.
We should look at a quarterback of how they can process something on the field. Obviously, I don't think it doesn't always
You have 4 or
translate.
5 guys running routes. Yeah, you have to be able to process that easily.
Yeah, it's a process. How do I get past this cornerback? How do I leave by side? How do I stick to my route? How do I get past the coverage? Because you
How do I look at 5
understand the
guys,
coverage.
figure out which one's open, and throw them the perfect ball? Like, there's a lot to it.
And I think that's the staple of the draft that people don't talk about is the Wonder Lake. How smart is a player? How can they process? And
Do they have those stats?
Well, they don't leak. They don't announce the Wonder Lake test. It's their private testing, but it always leaks out every year. So we'll get the Wonder Lake test eventually. But apparently is that if you in the interview process, they'll just go out and they'll be talking, be like, how did you do this play? What's 5 times 2? And they'll just throw out random math problems in the middle of your interview and just see how you process it or how do you process tough
How
questions.
fast do you go, like...
So the interview is more important to the combine than the actual events. That's what I believe. Interview, Wonderlic, understand how a player is going to process the NFL. I think if you look at the top players in the Wonderlic, they usually are the top players in the NFL, except for that one random guy from Harvard that got a 50. But that's going to do it for us today from the Triple Threat. Very special podcast. Thank you to Sekou Smith.
Thank you very much.
I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave it down below. Leave us any topics that you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
We want to get you guys involved into this podcast. But signing off from Atlanta, I'm William. Is there anything to say, Ishan?
Yeah, it's been a great podcast, great first podcast. A lot of great things to talk about, especially in the NBA. And we're going to be doing this weekly. We're going to have a lot of great guests. And yeah, peace.